Will the assistance of Damian Wayne make all the difference in finding the Nightmare Stone and ending Insomnia's reign of terror across the DC universe? Well, let's hop into the pages of Night Terrors issue number 3 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue had left off, Sandman and Deadman had gone looking for some assistance in their battle against Insomnia, only to come under attack by Insomnia's chosen elite, the Sleepless Knights. Being constructs of pure nightmare, very little actually hurts these things, not Wesley Dodd's gas gun and certainly not any of the batarangs that Deadman can pull out of Batman's belt. If there's one silver lining to all of this, it's that these Sleepless Knights really do seem to be like single-minded attack dogs, only going after Deadman and Sandman, leaving a sleeping Mr. Terrific completely alone. Boston and Wesley probably would have been cornered and devoured by the Sleepless Knights were it not for the late intervention of one Damian Wayne Robin. You'll remember that Damian had actually dealt with Insomnia first before anyone else, all the way back in this year's free comic book day outing. It's because of that Damian actually traveled the world to learn secret monk meditation techniques that would allow him to stay awake and out of the clutches of Insomnia himself. And you know what, I'll say it, Damian's addition right here, right now to the story, I think is exactly what Night Terrors needed, mainly because Joshua Williamson has guided pretty much all of Damian's big character growth and moments over the last couple years, and Night Terrors actually does seem like an organic continuation of all of that. First and foremost, Damian hates the idea of Boston Brand having hijacked his father Batman's body, and with good reason too. That last big Batman and Robin story was basically all about Batman possession, so yeah, Damian would be a little sore about it. The good guys managed to escape Insomnia Sleepless Nights this time, but sadly they're once again back to square one with no clues and no leads. So to continue the story, they decide to do exactly what they did in the previous issue, and that is exploit Deadman's strange otherworldly connection to Insomnia by trying to go into his own dreams and see what they can learn. Even though every time they've tried to make use of this narrative convenience, it's ended up blowing up in their face, like Insomnia and the Sleepless Knights knowing exactly where our heroes are, but hey, let's keep using this power. Because literally, if not, there'd be no way for this story to move forward. It's while messing around in the dream realm, Boston actually catches a glimpse of what's going on in all of the different tie-ins. Tie-ins that, judging by the numbers on my channel alone, most of you have basically dropped, and honestly, I can't blame you. It's while rooting around in Insomnia's memories, Deadman comes to the realization that before his exposure to Lazarus Rain, this guy's name was Christopher. He was attending a support group of sorts wherein he was almost kind of a famous individual. His insomnia was just starting back then, and he actively feared falling asleep, because to do so would only invite reliving the horrors of his past. What horrors? We still don't know, but we know that they are deeply and intrinsically tied to the Justice League for some reason. In fact, even mentioning the Justice League around Christopher Insomnia is such a button that when his group leader did so, he ended up murdering him with a coffee pot and then cutting off his own eyelid so that he could never close his eyes again. Ah yes, the no eyelid look, very hot this summer. Everyone in France is doing it, I hear. Now, admittedly, that flashback didn't actually give our heroes much information on where to find the Nightmare Stone, but they realize that Insomnia himself is equally coming up empty-handed in his attempts to find it. Which leads Boston, Damian, and Wesley to figure that maybe John Dee didn't actually hide it in a dream or a nightmare, but perhaps somewhere in between the waking world and the dream world. How do the good guys plan to access the world in between? Well, don't worry, Sandman is of course a master chemist who spent years experimenting with different types of sleeping gases. One Wayne science lab trip later, and Sandman has what he needs to put both Deadman and Robin under in a special sleep that will allow them to remain lucid and walk the roads in between, and that's exactly what they do. In fact, Deadman even gets a fun little costume updating that fuses his suit with Batman's suit. Once they enter the bleed between reality and dream, Boston and Damian actually take the opportunity to talk, and again, I actually think having Damian here greatly improves the story, as Williamson references several past storylines that he wrote between Damian and Batman, while also teeing up the brand new Batman and Robin book, saying that while Damian and Bruce have managed to get along as crime-fighting partners, they're still trying to figure out getting along as father and son. The quest for the Nightmare Stone ends up taking Robin and Deadman to not the House of Mystery, not the House of Secrets, but the brand new House of Horrors. A place much like the other two houses I mentioned aren't just references to famous horror anthologies from throughout DC Comics publishing histories, but are actual real magical places you can go. It's once they enter the House of Horrors, they end up going inside Boston Boston Brand's own personal nightmare, which I guess is kind of fitting because the dead by their very existence do not rest and as such do not need to dream, so the only way to see the dreams of the dead are to enter the House of Horrors. It's here we learn that Boston's true greatest fear is that, well, he lied about his death originally. He did feel the bullet, he did feel the impact, and he died all alone very sad. It's here too that Deadman ends up solving a riddle that neither Sandman nor Insomnia could solve, and that is to truly gain ownership of the Nightmare Stone, you must pull off a sacrifice. You must give up something, and for Boston, this means digging through his own old corpse to eventually find the secret prize that is inside. No, I don't totally understand what that means in this situation either, but we're just going to go with it. Deadman claims the Nightmare Stone and says that with it, they'll finally be able to defeat Insomnia once and for all, though as the comic comes to a close, we see a purple glint in Batman Deadman's eyes, implying that the mental connection that Boston has been using all series long is something of a two-way street, and now Insomnia is inside him. And so that was Night Terrors issue number 3, everybody, and honestly I thought this one was a little better than just okay. In fact, it's probably my favorite issue of the series so far, mainly for the late addition of Damian. Joshua Williamson just kind of has a way with the character after all the years of writing him. I like how Night Terrors is able to build off stuff that comes before, and honestly he has a fun dynamic with Deadman and Sandman. This issue, more than any other that preceded it to, actually seems to go whole hog on the dream logic of all of it, and I kind of wish it started as far out as all of that. How do you find the Nightmare Stone? Well, it's in the dreams of the dead, but the dead don't dream. Well, they do in the House of Horrors, but to get there you have to go to the lines in between. Honestly, I hope it kind of keeps that weirdo logic and momentum going forward, because if so, I think they'll actually have the latter half of Night Terrors be stronger than the first parts. Overall, I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. It's still not knocking my socks off, but for what it's worth, I think they actually show a fair amount of improvement here in this issue, and I hope they keep it up. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.